November the 2nd is when we find out who the new Tory leader will be. This in from Jenny, it's a cracking point as well. Robert Jenrick resigned from the last government. Kemi stayed on and continued to support Sunak's sellout on immigration. Sorry, she and all those who stayed in the cabinet are tainted. There is a, and I can't remember who said it now, but a high-profile Tory said it recently. I think it was John Redwood, said that the next leader of the party should not have been in the last administration. Jenrick sort of gets away with it because he left in that respect. And Smudge says, now then, young Collins, I like that. None of the six are going to return the Tories back to government. The party has missed the point and only offer people responsible and associated with the past 14 years. We threw them out. We will not re-elect the last government. They need to begin from a clean sheet. But the MPs are too scared to let the party see a new face. It's a new face that would have to build over 2 terms. But then I think Tom Tugendhat just acknowledged in his press conference this morning that it will take 2 terms. The Tories are not coming back in 2028, whatever it is, 2029, man alive. So he says he'll make the Tories respected once again if he becomes leader. He's apologised for his party's record, saying it owes voters better. He is, of course, the former security minister's pledged to increase defence spending and leave the European Court of Human Rights if he couldn't reform it. Robert Jenrick currently leads the race to replace Rishi Sunak, with 17 MPs declaring their support for him, while former Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch follows with 13 declared supporters. Let's speak to Paul Connew, former editor of the Sunday Mirror, also co-authored the book General Election 2024, which was all you needed to know about that historic election. Afternoon to you, Paul.
Good afternoon, Ian.
So we've got 6 of them, 6 of the magnificent 6. It's going to be one of them. Do they distinguish themselves in any meaningful way as candidates, do you sense?
Well, your caller Smudge had a point, because I wouldn't put money on whoever actually wins this contest by November the 2nd being the leader who takes the Tory party into the next general election, let alone the one after that.
Good point.
But I'm not. If I were a Tory, which I'm not, I would go for Tom Tugendhat, who opinion polls show has the widest appeal in the public generally. That's a different thing from among the Tory party membership, which is currently down now to about 160,000, basically veers to the right. So I don't think he's going to win that contest.
Yeah.
If I was putting money on it, I think it's between Badenoch and Jenrick, although you can't discount James Cleverly, who's working very hard on the idea. I'm the experienced man. In fact, he did do, by comparison to most, a fairly decent job in his short-lived stints as Home Secretary and, of course, as Foreign Secretary.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because the fly in the ointment for the Tories is Reform UK, isn't it? And I don't mean just the 5 MPs, but the voter base that switched from being Tories to Reform. And they've got to have one eye on that story when working out how to lead their party.
They've got to have one eye on that, but Robert Jenrick is the one who has been most inclined to talk about, welcoming Nigel Farage back or working more closely with Reform. Although he seems to be slightly backtracking on that now, because I'm not sure how well that would play across the parliamentary party. I think the 2 who are going to lose out, because they're going to be whittled down to 4, in fact, over the next 10 days or so. I think the 2 who will miss out are going to be Priti Patel and Mel Stride. So I think the quartet who go forward to this sort of bizarre beauty contest at the Tory party conference in Birmingham, which starts at the end of the month and goes to the beginning of October, will be in no particular order. Jenrick, and obviously Tugendhat, and Kemi Badenoch, and Cleverly. Kemi Badenoch, according to the bookmakers, is the favourite, but a lot of Tory MPs are worried about her because of her reputation for being being able to start a fight in an empty room, or as Tom Peck in his rather amusing column in today's Times said, she couldn't play hide and seek with a bunch of children because they quickly hear her having a fight with the curtain she was hiding behind. But
she does love a row, doesn't she? But she may calm that down a bit if she gets the big job, Paul.
Yes, well, although at a very expensive video promotion for her, played on a long loop at her expensive launch yesterday, but a lot of people would remember it more for her picking a fight with Doctor Who, or having an argument with Doctor Who, aka David Tennant, over
pronouns.
Their clash on social media about trans rights.
Yeah, I wonder, Paul, whether if you put the combination of Jenrick and Badenoch, whether one was the leader, the other was the deputy, I wonder if that might sell rather well to the Tory faithful, because you do tick a couple of boxes there in terms of the aforementioned Reform UK problem.
It would probably play pretty well to, if you like, the conservative hardcore, but of course it's in a volatile political climate. There's no guarantee, much as I support Labour, there's no guarantee this is going to, whatever Tom Tugendhat might say, there's no guarantee it's going to be a two-term Labour government.
That's
in fact,
true.
we were always saying that Boris Johnson was guaranteed two terms.
Yeah, indeed. It was unthinkable that it would be anything other than 2 terms with an 80-odd seat majority, and Starmer in a slightly better position, but very similar in that respect. You've got to be careful how complacent you get.
Yes, and the Labour Party have their own problems and divisions internally. Not least at the moment over Gaza, and domestically, of course, the winter fuel allowance.
Yeah,
it's a very volatile climate. So, as I said earlier, I wouldn't put money on whoever wins this Tory party leadership contest. Being the leader come the next general election, even. But in some ways, it's going to be the timing's strange as well. Okay, the Tory party conference was fixed a long time ago, but
sure.
And there have been calls by Jenrick, which have been rejected by others, to change the date, the timing, and go early for the vote. But it's going to be the voting closes, the ballot closes, on the day. The day the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, delivers her first budget. Yeah. And then the announcement, of who's won will be when all the attention is going to be on the US presidential election. So it's not going to be... there's not going to be any kind of ownership of headlines in that respect. Listen, Paul, it's always great to gauge your views on these things. Here's Paul Connew, former editor of the Sunday Mirror, knows his way around politics more than most. He's also the author, of course, of that book, co-author of the book General Election 2024.